Skin very much avoided for Chelsea, and that win puts them back in the top four, one clear of Spurs. And boys, I suppose with Manchester City running away with it, this is kind of the big talking point now, isn't it, with regards to who is going to finish in the top four. City, of course, are fine, but United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs, you take a look at it, just 4 points separate them.
Yeah, and I suppose with the way United are so up and down, or so down, and so unattractive, and the issues, again, we're going to get to surrounding their key players, then there's hope. It's now a real bun fight for that top four.
Is.
Liverpool are playing well, they look great going forward. Tottenham were fantastic at the weekend and really should have won by 4. And Arsenal are out of it because they're just abysmal. Yeah. I mean, they sign Aubameyang and get Mkhitaryan in, and you think they've won the World Cup. But it was normal service resumed at the weekend, so they're gone. So it's going to be a real bun fight in there, and who can put a run together is going to be, well, whoever the teams that are going to go in there. But United looked as if they were nailed on. But I'm not. I mean, they're nailed on for top 4, I think, but not for second place.
You're doubting yourself.
I am doubting myself.
It's kind of swung recently with Chelsea and Man United looking vulnerable. Tottenham and Liverpool, as Craig said, on the up. But there's 11 games to go. You know, the thing could swing the other way as well.
So who, at the moment, for you, is missing out?
I'm going to say Chelsea.
Right, despite today's win.
Yeah, I mean, what they did today is what we've expected of them. But with this Conte thing hanging around, I don't see Chelsea in the top 4.
The Champions League then returns tomorrow. Basel against Manchester City. City obviously massive favourites to advance to the next round. The other tie, much more difficult to call. Juventus against Spurs. The SPI have got Juve as 56% favourites to advance. The first leg is in Turin tomorrow. We talked at length about PSG against Real Madrid. I think we're all expecting goals in that game. Maybe this tie in Italy will be a little cagier?
I think, well, Juventus will certainly hope so, because that's when they're at the best. This is an intriguing one as well, because a real big step up for Spurs. You know, getting to this stage of the competition, pulling out Juventus. You know, the way they play, got Harry Kane up against Chiellini. But Juventus don't do losses under Allegri very often. Three losses in the Champions League knockout stages, and 2 of those were in the final. We were at them, Barcelona, against a great Barcelona team, and then against Real Madrid last year. Apart from that, only one other time in the knockout stages. So if Tottenham are going to do it, they're going to have to do it the hard way.
Do they approach this game slightly differently, knowing that they got the second leg at Wembley?
No, I don't think so. I think if I'm a Spurs player, I'll look at what happened against Real Madrid away. Kept it real tight against arguably a better attacking unit than Juventus, and then broke and really should have won the game. So I think they'll take all the lessons they learned from the Real Madrid game and put them to good use against Juventus. At the same time, I'd have to say that with the experience Juve have in this competition, you've got to make them slight favourites.
Talk about predictions then, Stevie.
Juventus Spurs. You've got to go with Juventus.
You almost went with Spurs, though.
The form they're in right now, it wouldn't be a shock.
Right, really?
It wouldn't be a shock. I don't see a shock. I see Juventus going through.
Yeah, they're not playing great football, Juventus, but they've got way more experience at this competition.
They're getting it done, aren't they?
They get the job done. Spurs have been good, but I'm going to go for Juve.
The big talking point, and certainly we discussed it yesterday, was Paul Pogba. The fact that he was pretty much anonymous throughout the game, being played out of position and then substituted just after Newcastle's score. What do you make of it all?
Do you know, all the talk about is Mourinho and how he sets his teams up, and I understand that. And I didn't really like Sanchez playing out wide and all that nonsense. But this guy, who's clearly a talent, he's swanning around as if he's doing the Premier League a favour and Man United a favour by being there, right? That's how it looks to me. He's swanning around as if, hey, I'm Paul Pogba and I'm back in the Premier League and you should be happy. I'm not having that because he's playing him a little deeper or because of the formation, he cannot affect the game. If I was to put Kevin De Bruyne in the Man United team in the same position, he would have 50% at least more effect in the game. Because he didn't have to play a defensive role against Newcastle. They had, what, 60 or 70% possession? So he could push on. The guy is not doing enough, right?
Is it not that he's being told not to push on by Mourinho?
Listen, he has not been told not to push on.
But surely that's why he got taken off against Spurs, because he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do.
That was against Spurs.
Yeah, I know, but...
Spurs attack.
Yeah, but
Spurs are good. Newcastle are hopeless.
Since Spurs, right, he gets taken off at Spurs, doesn't even play in the next game, and now he's hauling him off again. Surely regardless, Man United's a better team with him on the field. Or is this just a case of Mourinho saying, right, I'll wear the pants and I'm going to show everybody who's in charge?
Well, that's a point, but that's another point. I think the issue here is can Paul Pogba do more, a lot more? The answer is yes. Now, he and quite a numerous others are going to stop hiding behind this. Well, Mourinho's playing him out of position. He's in the centre of the midfield, for God's sake, against one of the worst teams in the Premier League. You're telling me he can't get forward and affect the game? He's not a patch at the moment on Kevin De Bruyne. Not a patch. I wouldn't even bat an eyelid if I was offered one against the other. That's how average he's become in your United shirt. And it's not all Mourinho's fault. No way is that all Mourinho's fault.
Let's get a French perspective on this and welcome Julien Laurent into the show. Jules, what do you make of what Craig's saying?
I know, I agree with a lot of things Craig said. I was told that he was not fit for that game against Newcastle, that maybe a warm-up he said that he didn't feel 100% at all. People saying that maybe he shouldn't have started, shouldn't have played that game. He clearly come off in a bit of discomfort as well. So that's not an excuse, because a lot of players have played.
Well, and Craig... it's interesting, why doesn't Mourinho say that in the post-match interview? Because surely that gives everyone... We wouldn't even be discussing this, I don't think, if he said that he felt a niggle in the warm-up. But he doesn't. He says it's a tactical decision. He brought in Michael Carrick because he wanted Carrick to do a role that he didn't feel Pogba was.
There's clearly an issue between them two, and that even before the Spurs game when they had that heated exchange on the touchline, there's clearly something wrong there. Whether Pogba feels he can't do what Mourinho asked him to do, whether Mourinho thinks that Pogba, like Craig said, is not putting in enough effort, that the attitude is wrong, but there's clearly something that's not working there between them two. And you know what, I think people are harsh on Pogba. I think people demand a lot of Pogba. They want him to pass the ball like Busquets, defend like Conte, score like Gerrard, you know, create like Ozil. He can't do all of that. He's got 9 assists this season, which is only less than Leroy Sané and De Bruyne, and he's missed 2.5 months through injury. So it's just about what you want him to do. If you want him to create, he can do that. But if you also want him to defend like Conte, he can't do everything. And I just think that he needs to find his right identity in this team, and Mourinho needs to help him. And right now, I can't see either.
Well, if he was injured, and you know, what would be the excuses for the rest of the games? Right, and I understand you get these stats sometimes with assists and stuff. I was talking to you earlier about it. 3 goals. 3 goals in all competitions. All competitions. 3 in the Premier League against Newcastle at home when they were struggling, against Swansea away when they were bottom of the league, and against West Ham United when they were just about to...
But is this not because he's being played out of position? Because he's not in the opportunity, he's not further up the field.
Where's he playing? Is he playing left back? Is he playing right back? Is he playing sweeper? He's playing centre of midfield. He can get forward. He's got a security blanket in the Mansa Matic. Paul Pogba has to do more, right? That's why he's getting dragged off.
I'm not going to argue with it that he shouldn't be doing more.
Right.
I totally agree with that. But does this not smell a little bit like Hazard at Chelsea? The year after they won the league, and all of a sudden, your star man, who's not playing well, all of a sudden, he's not starting. And then the whole season goes to pot. This could happen with Pogba as well. Is this the personality of Mourinho that he picks on one of his stars and just messes them up?
Welcome into Extra Time, Stevie, and the slimmer, fitter, new look, Craig Burley.
Hey.
Goodness me, eh? Spin class today, Craig.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And Wednesday this week, booked in.
You booked in?
If I'm still alive.
Well, that's good.
After today.
Hey, Stevie, you're not tempted to take the fitness route?
Hey, one step at a time. I'm thinking about it.
What step have you taken?
I'm thinking about it.
With their play today, is the worst over for Chelsea? Go Louisville City FC.
No.
No. No?
No. No.
No. It'll take more than beating the team, propping up the Premier League to
At home.
Yeah.
And did you notice Conte at the end of the game? Not even a smile. as the final whistle went. I mean, you talk about a guy that looks as though he doesn't want to be there.
Oh. Jules, what do you think?
I agree with the boys. I think they need to do more, and there's clearly an issue with Conte as well.
Let's talk player of the season, shall we? De Bruyne or Salah?
You got to go with Salah.
Really? Why?
Never a guess.
Really? Why?
He's not going to win anything,
You
is
got to go
he?
with goals.
You've got to go with trophies.
You got to go with. Oh. All right. Well, obviously you've made your mind up.
So
Well,
because
just asked my question, and I said Salah.
so you've changed your
What
mind.
else do you want?
You changed your mind. Well, you said.
You sound like the wife, haven't you said it? And now you're saying about changing my mind. Did I say I'd change my mind?
So who
Let's
is
go
it?
with goals.
Oh, Harry Kane then.
Why is that?
Don't know. I just said that.
He never even asked about Harry Kane. He asked about De Bruyne or Salah, right?
No.
What, we're talking player of the season. We can
here
open
we
up
go.
the discussion
Oh,
now
here we go
completely.
now. Are you going to answer the question or not? Did you say Kevin De Bruyne or Mo Salah?
Yes.
Right. And I
Right.
said Salah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll go De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, but goals. You got to give it to the goals.
Oh, I'm just going to change my mind. Now that you've mentioned it.
Have you changed your mind?
Yeah.
Jules, who do you reckon?
De Bruyne for me, I'm a huge De Bruyne fan. I think he's been amazing, and I think the fitness as well. For him to play since the beginning of the season, the way he still does now, with no dip of form, still on the same intensity, the same pace, is quite remarkable.
I mean,
Salah's had a right dip in form, hasn't he?
Yeah, here's your Liverpool goggles. Take them, put them on. Put them on top of your own goggles. Yeah.
I have got a pair of that do it.
He's got his driving glasses.
He's got special driving glasses.
Fantastic.
Special. It stops the glare from other cars.
Correct.
Apparently.
Have you seen them?
Yes.
They are brilliant.
Fantastic.
Because they have to go on top of his normal one.
Yeah. It's like Biggles.
Hey, they do the job.
And that's it.
That's
Safety
all that matters.
first. isn't
Safety
it?
first.
To be fair, Salah couldn't get it. Not after that guy brought that song out.
You just can't not give it to him because of a song.
No, you can't. That ended it for him. That stupid
That's it.
song.
Why are there no more boiling points? You're always boiling in every episode anyway.
No, then why do it again then? If I'm boiling in every episode,
No, that's
why
true.
do it again?
Oh, I
it
don't
just
know,
gives
but
myself
didn't stop you
extra
last
work.
time. So it was just avoiding
just-
work. Well, more time to go to the gym.
Well, exactly. I just haven't got time. I was actually thinking about that today, actually, funny before that.
To do a boiling point.
I might start doing a couple again just to annoy people.
Oh, there we go.
And if
you
nobody's
realise-
annoyed, I'll stop.
Do you realise it's going to cost you a fortune?
What is?
Well, if you get yourself fit and lose all that weight, you're going to buy new clothes.
Well, if there's only
Sorry,
somebody...
clothes are
If
clothes.
there was only somebody who could pay for it
Clothes is
for me.
Scottish for clothes.
Well, I don't intend to lose that much weight. It's not like, not like your good self.
Do you remember when Stevie wanted us to pay for him to lose weight?
$1,000, I think it was.
That's a great idea, isn't it?
If you pay me $1,000, I'll lose £14.
I'll give it all to charity. Great.
Hey, do you know how much you made?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Right.
How many times has he been on one of these? Right, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm eating healthy. I'm going to lose weight. How many times in the last, 4 or 5 years?
Can't help it.
A lot. There you go. You're happy, aren't you, Stevie?
Yeah.
I'm trying
Trying what?
to do something about it.
Thinking about it. That is it. We're done. Jules, thank you very much. Hey, the Champions League is back tomorrow, thank goodness. We'll be talking, of course, about Juve Spurs. You can join us 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News. So the Champions League returns this week. Here are all the fixtures to be played over the next few weeks, over those 2 legs. The team on the left are the favourites, the team on the right, the underdogs. Out of those 8 fixtures, boys, which one do you think maybe we could see the underdogs advance?
Would it be crazy to say that Real Madrid? I mean, they are the underdogs as far as the SPI are concerned.
Yeah. Well, they've won it back to back.
So if that's the case, if that's the rules, then listen, Real Madrid could turn round and produce what we know they can, although we haven't seen it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So that would be an upset, but other than that, I don't. Sevilla, Man United. If Sevilla won, that would be an upset. I just don't see it.
Sure.
I mean, is there anything else, Peter?
Well, you would say, but when you're losing to Newcastle and when you're not playing well and you've got problems with your big star players, that kind of plays into Sevilla's hands a little bit. I think Porto, Liverpool.
Oh, really?
Although Liverpool are not, I know was it 2005 the last time they won it, or around that time. But they're not one of the real big guns at the moment. But it still would be, I think, with the money they're able to spend, would still be an upset. And with their defence, particularly away from home, I could see that maybe being a problem for Klopp.
All right, boys, thank you very much. Of course, we'll be discussing the Champions League at length over the next few weeks on ESPN FC. You can join us on weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News.
Balancing boots on his head after scoring and all that nonsense. Are we going to see the real deal here pitching up and doing what effectively PSG have brought him in to do?
No, I don't think there'll be any showboating, any dancing, any, like you said, boots on the head or whatever. I think he's ready for it. And in private, he's been telling everyone at the club, in the dressing room, his mates, that this is the moment he's been waiting for. And I think also, we've talked a lot about it. I do think that he will pitch himself as well to go to Real Madrid one day. And if he has one of those performances where the Bernabeu actually claps and stands for a player of the opposition, like they've done with Ronaldinho in the past, or Messi for Barcelona, for example, then I think that means he will have a big success and would have been very good in that game.
Sid, what sort of reception can he expect at the Bernabeu? Obviously, former Barcelona, but I suppose on the other side, he did turn his back on the Catalan club as well.
Yeah, and nothing makes you more popular in Madrid than causing problems for Barcelona, that's for sure. And also bear in mind that the context of this, as Julian's just pointed out, the context of this is this growing belief that at some stage Neymar will turn up at Real Madrid. And so you have, I think, as you say, this kind of sense that, well, you know, he's a former Barcelona player, but the key word there is former, and he may well come to us one day. So I think there will be a sense from Real Madrid fans that, you know what, it would be a good idea to make him feel like this is the kind of place that he would like to be.
Predictions then. Who's going through, Jules?
PSG, every day.
Hey, objective as ever. Sid?
I must admit, I look at the midfield for Paris Saint-Germain and it doesn't entirely convince me. I think it's true that Madrid have been poor this season, but they have a way of getting around it. I think a lot will depend on whether or not Paris Saint-Germain are prepared to really go for Madrid, to really attack them, and that's where they have the best chance. I think if they're at all nervous about it, if they're at all frightened, if they're at all overawed, then Madrid will go through. I'm going for Real Madrid.
Boys?
I'm going for PSG. I think they can get a result in the Bernabeu. And I think they're more experienced now that they won't then fold back in Paris. So PSG.
Said he's going with the blind faith analysis, because that's all it is. PSG.
Really?
Well, Sid, that might come back. You remember that, Sid?
Blind faith analysis.
I will.
Hello and welcome to the ESPN FC Power Rankings from the weekend. The top performers across Europe, all rated for your enjoyment and for us to get Steve Nichols' thoughts on the top 10, some of the positioning as well. Stevie, take us through some of your highlights.
Well, I think the top three are absolutely spot on. I would move Kevin De Bruyne across to number 4. After that, then I think you could have a little bit of an argument who should be where. I would say the bottom 2, though, without question, is Dries Mertens and Neymar. I would have Neymar absolutely 100% at number 10. In fact, he shouldn't be in the top 10, but seems that he is. His goal, number 1 wasn't his goal. It was more like a pass back that was trickling towards the goalkeeper, hit a Toulouse defender's leg and sent the goalie the wrong way. So he's number 10, Dries Mertens number 9. As nice a goal as Dries Mertens scored, nice little tickle past the goalkeeper. It was the 4th goal in a game that was already over against Lazio.
It was poetry in motion.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Bobby Firmino scores a goal and an assist and is 4th here.
Correct.
Mo Salah scores a goal and an assist in the same game.
And he's 9th.
And he's 9th.
Yeah.
And he's 2nd top scorer in the league, so...
Doesn't make any sense.
It's a question mark.
No. As I said, listen, you could argue. You know, we've got Cengiz under here who scored 2 goals and had an assist, which you could argue should be ahead of Bobby Firmino as well.
Looks a good player, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what, he's exciting. He's got pace. He likes to get forward. He actually looks. He's a guy that looks as though he's enjoying playing the game.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the game and you've got quality, you've got half a chance.
And a quick mention as well for Patrick Cutrone, who scored a couple of goals against for AC Milan against Spal. He looks a real saviour in that team for AC Milan this year.
Well, listen, you expect AC Milan to beat Benevento.
Or Spal.
Or Spal, I beg your pardon. Because anybody should beat Spal. They're just not very good. And Cutrone, listen, you can only do well and score goals against whatever's put in front of you. And there's no question Cutrone scored 2 fantastic goals. So he deserves to be in the top 10. Not so sure he should be number 5, though.
OK, so hats off to Aguero with his 4 goals, Ronaldo with his 3, Harry Kane for winning the North London derby, and honourable mentions for Kevin De Bruyne and a few others.
Correct.
But down the list you go, Neymar. You heard it here first.
To the bottom.
Hello everybody, welcome into the predictor for the round of 16 Champions League first legs, half of them at least, because of course it's split over a couple of weeks action. We've got 4 games here, a lot of English representation, certainly in the first 3, Stevie. Manchester City have to go to Switzerland, where Man United had to play. Didn't do so well there in the group stage, but you expect City to do okay? Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, they might both be from Manchester, but the way they play the game right now is chalk and cheese. Manchester City, no question, huge favourites. This would be the biggest shock for me of all the games, regardless of just these ones or the ones coming up. Man City, I just don't see any way they don't beat Basel away from home and at home. So I'm sorry, Basel, but Man City goes through.
Okay, you pick City. I think I'm with you there as well. I'll pick City as well.
Yep.
If you'll go in. Yeah, it listens to you, Stevie. Juventus Tottenham.
Only one.
Juve Spurs.
This is a tough one to pick. I'm going to pick Juventus to eventually go through, only because in Europe they have so much more experience of the Champions League in particular than Tottenham do. But there's very little to choose between the two sides. Both sides defensively can be immaculate. And of course, both sides can score goals as well. So this, of all the ties, has to be the tightest one. But I'm just going to shade it, and I'm going to give it to Juventus just because of their better experience of a big European tie.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you there. I think it will be a draw. I think Juve will struggle to break Tottenham down at times. Maybe a score draw, which will favour Tottenham for the second leg. So I'll leave that one blank. Porto against your boys, Liverpool.
Yeah, again, I can only see a Liverpool victory. Porto will be stubborn, and they have to, I believe, at home, if they want to win this tie overall, I think Porto have to try and get some sort of lead at home, and that's going to leave holes at the back for Liverpool to take advantage of. So again, I can only see one winner here, both in this leg and in the tie, and I'm going to go with Liverpool.
I think it's very hard to argue with any of that.
Yep.
Liverpool win away from home. You can see them scoring goals on the break there at Dragao. Real Madrid against PSG. Now, this is obviously the champions not in great form, although they won at the weekend, up against a PSG team, who they call now is Le Money time.
Right.
Are PSG going to prove their worth this time around in the round of 16?
Listen, if you look at what's going on at both clubs right now, and certainly what's been going on over the season, then you can't not pick PSG. The only worry that PSG will have is that Real Madrid, as bad as they've been, as poor as they've been, have talent, so much talent, and are capable of beating anybody when they step on the field. Apart from that, I can't see how they win this game. I mean, they just haven't been great going forward. They haven't been great defensively. And PSG, with that front line of Cavani, Mbappe and Neymar, you have to think they're going to tear Real Madrid apart. I'm going to go Paris Saint-Germain. At the same time, I'm going to give it a little caveat and say, if this team turns up, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise, because with the quality they have, you talk about players for the big game, Real Madrid have that. But again, I'm going to go back to PSG.
All right. It is a massive, massive game, arguably a final in itself. PSG obviously doing so well in the first leg last time around, falling apart in Spain to Barcelona. I can see Di Maria playing, having a big game, but I think it's going to be a score draw, which is going to set it perfectly up for the second leg in Paris. So we'll see how they all pan out. You've got your results there. I've got a couple of draws here. Enjoy the action, and as always, keep it here at ESPN FC.
For Ref Watch today, let's get straight into the whole Stoke penalty farce. Hesse had a bit of a strop, I suppose you could say.
No. I think it's more of a Hesse fit, really.
Oh, dear. Because he wanted to take the penalty that he said he'd won. Obviously, Charlie Adam then steps up to take it. It seems that he was the designated penalty taker. And Stuart, the amount of pressure that would be on Charlie Adam at that moment when he's saying, I'm taking this, that probably caused him to miss it, do you think?
It probably helped him to miss it, but the person who's at fault is Hesse.
Yeah.
Because if Paul Lambert has said before the game, and everybody knows that Charlie Adam is the penalty taker, he's the penalty taker. Yeah. Whether you've been brought down...
Is it?
Well, it's the wrong thing for the player to do. You know, there's the penalty taker. He's the best penalty taker at the club, or so the manager thinks. And once he's been given the job, other players shouldn't start interfering with it.
I mean, no one's a very good penalty taker at Stoke because they've not scored from a penalty. But was it a penalty, first of all?
Well, yes, was it a penalty kick? I mean, Bobby Madley was in a great position to see, but for me, I think it was a bit of a poor decision. I don't think it was a penalty kick, although the defender was looking at the player.
Technically, it's wrong from the player. If the ball's over there, the player's got to be watching the ball, and he's got to know where the attacker is. He turns around, he's watching the attacker only for a fraction of a moment.
I just think there was a bit of pressure being built up there at Stoke. It was going towards the end of the game.
Yeah, 89th minute, wasn't it?
There was an incident. He saw it out the corner of his eye. They see the player go down, and he's given a penalty kick.
Yeah.
For me, you've got to be 100% certain to give a penalty.
Exactly, and you wouldn't have been 100% to give that.
I wouldn't have given the penalty.
Okay,
no.
let's go a bit further with this because we can get into it. Obviously, on the follow-up as well, he was then fouled by Dunk. What did you make of that?
Well, again, was he fouled by Dunk? Because the referee gives a corner kick, so he clearly sees him getting the ball, getting the touch on the ball. The fact,
but did he have to go through the player to get to the ball?
Stuart and I were talking about this earlier. You know, was it a foul on him? And to tackle like that, I think anywhere else on the field, he's probably going to end up in a free kick.
Right.
Because I think he has to go through Charlie Adam to get to the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the referee let him get away with that one. It was a desperate challenge because Charlie Adam's just about to poke the ball in the net, and he would have had to have sent Dunk off if he'd have given a penalty.
Oh, I see. He's getting really into it now. That's
well, let's get even more into it and talk about the goalkeeper because it looked to me that he was off his line. But how much, I mean, as a ref, as a former ref, how much off their line do they have to be?
Well, look, you know, the law says that you can't come off your line.
Right.
However, you know, history decrees that the goalkeeper sets himself, every goalkeeper sets himself, and they make that movement. And in terms of how much movement do you allow them, well, we're looking probably at a significant amount. Something that
significant. Yes, that's very subjective. What is significant?
Well, significant is the Buffon when he did it in the Champions League at Old Trafford, where he was off the line 2 or 3 yards. That's significant.
Was Ryan off his line when that penalty was taken? Was Ryan off his line?
A fraction, yes, he was.
So
by law, it should have been retaken.
Yeah.
But I think that if we start going down that line, the
game will go on forever.
The game becomes, you know, a science rather than an art, and the game is an art. For
really?
me. Yes,
but isn't it a science?
It's a feel.
If there's a law, then that is a science. You're on or you're off.
Well, you know,
so in some ways, you're saying the referee bottled it all round. He didn't give Ryan coming off his line. Then he didn't give the penalty the second time round when the challenge is made on Charlie Adam.
Only because we see that as a foul challenge. He saw it as a clear challenge because he's given a corner kick.
All right. Well, loads to talk about on Ref Watch this week. All the very latest. Keep it right here at ESPN.
Arsenal came to Wembley with a distinctive game plan. That was to get everybody behind the ball, to stop Spurs playing it into the likes of Harry Kane, Dele Alli and Eriksen and make them go into wide areas. And for most of the first half it worked. But as I watch more and more football games, there's one pass that kills off a defence that wants to play that way. And Spurs played it brilliantly, or nearly brilliantly, on 3 occasions. The first one was 27 minutes into the game. Eriksen was about 30 yards out, 10 yards in from the left-hand touchline, and he bent a ball in behind the 2 centre-halves of Arsenal. And Harry Kane just gets in an onside position and heads it over the bar. The 2 Arsenal centre-halves were preoccupied with playing offside. The ball had too much pace. Petr Cech couldn't get there, but it killed all those players that were trying to defend in front of the ball. It happened just after half-time, and it was the goal as well. Yes, you can criticise Ozil for trying to go out and close the ball down and giving away or not winning the ball back in midfield. It got switched out to Davis. Davis then just went 4 or 5 yards further forward, and Arsenal was set. They had players in good positions. Davis couldn't see a pass into the front players, so again he just lifted the ball in between Monreal Arsenal's left back, in between Koscielny and Petr Cech, the goalkeeper, with a little bit of height on it. And Harry Kane, yes, it's a brilliant header, but it's a very difficult ball to defend against. And then 2 minutes later, the same happens on the right-hand side. Dyer gets on the ball. Yes, you could say Wilshere should go and close him down that little bit quicker, but all he does is bend the ball behind the centre-halves, and Harry Kane gets in again and should do a lot better with his header. But the two centre-halves were so preoccupied with playing on offside line, they don't see the run of Kane, and they don't defend the ball. And as I say before, that one pass kills off defences that want to sit deep and stay compact. That one ball over the top, they can't defend it. And from that point on, Arsenal became a shambles defensive. They had to come out and play. They lost their defensive discipline, and it looked as though Spurs could score at will at times. Arsenal didn't react. A quick free kick out on the right-hand side. Trippier and Eriksen take a quick free kick. They go down the right-hand side. No recovery runs from Arsenal. Harry Kane with a volley. Eric Lamela has a couple of chances late on in the game. The one in the 89th minute, it's one ball played over the top. Eric Lamela gets in behind a back four that's square and trying to play offside again, should score. He has another run where he's running down the right-hand side. Koscielny has to get out there and defend against it and doesn't do so. Trippier has a shot coming in from the far side, unmarked. Eriksen again with that ball into the box. And on occasions, Arsenal were all over the place. But they were only all over the place because of that pass that Spurs played on 3 occasions. First one midway through the first half, the goal itself, and then the one that Harry Kane misses. Had they not played those balls, Arsenal would have been able to be disciplined and organised as they were in the first half.
So Manchester United lost at Newcastle by a single goal, and Mourinho said they played like animals, but he meant that certainly as a compliment. And he's never won at St James's Park. He'll hate that as well. He'll know that, won't he?
He'll be disappointed with Manchester United's display. He'll also understand that Newcastle played above themselves. They threw their bodies on the line because Manchester United did have some chances. They had 1 or 2 really good chances. But Newcastle defended well. If they didn't defend the first ball well, they defended the second one well. And when the goalkeeper was beaten, players got back on the line and got good clearances. It was one of those inspired displays by Newcastle. The crowd got right behind them. Benitez got his tactics absolutely right. And Manchester United just didn't have that creative force that they need, and that's what's been lacking for them.
Yeah, you wonder with Jose Mourinho, every time he says something, there's always something else in it, and he said that's the kind of display, that's the kind of fight that managers love to see, almost alluding to the fact that his players aren't doing that for him right now. Would that be fair?
Yes, and he might even be having a little go at Benitez and say that your players haven't been fighting for you all season. Why did they fight in this particular game? Because, you know, I've played at a club like West Ham where we could beat the very best, but we could also lose to the worst. And there was a difference between how you fought in those games and how you fought against the worst teams. So he might be having a little dig at Benitez as well and saying that those Newcastle players have played some pretty poor performances over the recent weeks, but they suddenly found that energy, that effort, that enthusiasm to play against Jose Mourinho's Manchester United.
As a former player, what was it like going to St James's Park? Because the fans in Newcastle, they are just so passionate, aren't they? What is it about the ground itself?
You're talking to the wrong person, because when I played many years ago, Newcastle, it wasn't that big stadium. There was open stands. I think they only had cover on one side of the ground. It was the noise went out the stadium, and they weren't a top side in those days. They were struggling in the old First Division. They were often down in the Second Division. So it wasn't such a big club then as it is now.
Okay, all the very latest. Keep it right here at ESPN. Mo Salah scored his 19th goal of the season with his left foot, drawing him equal, interestingly, with Robbie Fowler, who did this back in 94-95. This guy is just so good, isn't he?
He is, and it shows that you don't have to be two-footed to be a brilliant player. I played with a great player in Liam Brady, who could only use his left foot, never used his right. I think the same could be said about Robbie Fowler. And when you watch Salah, when he's on his right foot, his shots are pretty weak, but when he gets it and chops it onto his left foot, he does brilliantly, and he's having a great season. Remember, he's not an out-and-out centre forward. You know, most players that score that amount of goals are out-and-out centre forwards. He's playing on that right-hand side, coming in on his left foot. He has played as the main striker on occasions when one of the strikers has been taken off. But he's done everything expected of him at Liverpool, whether it's making runs in behind, whether it's goals where he's gone past people with the ball, interlinking with the centre forward. He's been excellent.
And yet another player that's been let go by Chelsea. It's strange, isn't it?
I think you're almost saying Jose Mourinho rather than Chelsea.
Exactly.
Because Mourinho...
Morata, De Bruyne, players that have shone after they've sort of
I think
got away from
Mourinho, when he looks at these players and he's had them, he doesn't quite believe in their defensive qualities.
Well, does it matter though? When
I
you
think
look at like
it does matter.
De Bruyne, for example.
It does matter.
Yeah.
But what Pep Guardiola has done has made De Bruyne better defensively. What Mourinho didn't do was give him the patience. He sort of said, right, he doesn't understand the game, he's not strong enough, he doesn't track back quickly enough. Well, what Pep Guardiola has done is played him further back. He's played him as a normal central midfield player, and he's had to learn the defensive side of the game. And Mo Salah has been taught by Klopp to press the ball all around the field. I don't think Mourinho was patient up with some of these players. He'd made his mind up, he can't defend, he's not working hard enough, I don't want them.
And it's incredible to think that he's already level with Fowler and so much of the season to go. And obviously in a World Cup year as well with Egypt, he could do some really good... This could be such a year for him, couldn't it?
Well, last season, everybody was saying that Mane was the player. He was the player that Liverpool were looking to score the goals, to have that those runs behind the defenders. This year it's been Mo Salah. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Right, well done, Mo. More to come, I'm sure. All the very latest, keep it right here, ESPN FC. Big week in the Champions League, couple of games to look forward to. I want to start with Tottenham heading to play Juventus. Now, they were a little bit wasteful against Arsenal, although they won the game. But you can't be wasteful against a side like Juventus, particularly with their strength in defence, Stuart.
I don't think it's a worry, because they created... If you're not creating the chances, that's a problem. Tottenham created chances against Arsenal in the second half, and the goalkeeper, Petr Cech, had a good game. Juventus, I don't think, are as good as they have been in previous seasons. I think this is the one year where they're being challenged by Napoli in Serie A. They're not playing with their usual back three anymore. Chiellini is still having an excellent season. He's playing alongside Benatia. But I think Harry Kane and Dele Alli making the right sort of runs. He's coming back into some sort of form, and Eriksen picking his passes, and Son's playing well out on that left-hand side. I think they can cause Juventus problems, particularly on the counter-attack.
Do you give them a chance then? I mean, everyone wrote them off. They said that they wouldn't get on well against Real Madrid and Dortmund, but obviously had great results against those two. But can they go one further?
Spurs are coming into form at just the right time. They played really well against Manchester United at Wembley. They played well against Liverpool in the second half particularly, and I thought they played well against Arsenal after not really opening up Arsenal in the first half. In the second half they created lots of chances, and they've got a player in Harry Kane that, given opportunities, he will score goals.
Another big game on Valentine's Day. Stuart, you're covering this one.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
Where's the romance gone? This is going to be an exciting one though, isn't it? PSG against Real Madrid.
Well, it's the big one, particularly big for Real Madrid. Zidane, you know, he's won the Champions League the last couple of years. He's under massive pressure. They're nowhere in La Liga. They're struggling even to get into the top four.
So
this is their big competition. Yeah. They got a good victory at the weekend. Lots of people were saying they should rest players because this is the big game for them, but they didn't do that. Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. They may just come into form. I think they're saving it up for this game. They're going to have to play very well. I think they're going to have to take a lead to Paris. So Zidane's got to get his selection right. The players have got to come to the fore, and they've got to get a victory against PSG.
OK. Looking forward to those games. Enjoy. All the very latest on the Champions League. Keep it right here at ESPN.